Namaste everyone, welcome to Lessons with Lakshmi. Today we'll discuss about the rhyme scheme, figures of speeches and critical appreciation of the poem All the World's a Stage. So first rhyme scheme of the poem, there is no rhyme scheme to the poem because it is a monologue by Jacques. So there is no rhyme scheme. So the poem is written in free verse. And let us move on to the figures of speeches used in the poem. Figures of speeches, see, I have highlighted and I have given the color, and some figures of speeches are overlapping. So I'll show you. I have written a comment, so I'll show you. First, world, all the world's a stage. Here the stage, the world is compared indirectly to a stage. That is why it is a metaphor. And then men and women are told as compared as players, that is actress and actresses. Okay, actors and actresses. So that is one more metaphor. And one more metaphor here is exits and entrances. That is one more metaphor. Here exits represent deaths and entrances represents birth. Now he is saying the world is a stage. That means a life when people are born, that is entrance into a stage, and when people are dead, then that is exit from the stage. So these three are metaphors. Also here men and women, here in this, see, I have written a comment here. Men and women is antithesis. What is antithesis? Two opposite words when they are used in a single line, then it is called as a antithesis. For example, men, women, two opposite words. Same way in the next line also we have entrances and exits. That is one more see here, entrances and exits, this is one more antithesis. Here entrance and exits are opposite words, that is why it is births and deaths. So it is antithesis. So in these three lines we have metaphor as well as antithesis. And in the next line, one man in his time plays many parts. Now this is inversion. What is inversion? The words are jumbled this way and that way. For example, we say one man plays many parts in his time. That is what we say. But the poet is saying one man in his time plays many parts. He has removed in his time from the end and he has inserted in between. Okay, that is called as the inversion. That is inversion. And then we have here mewling and puking in the nurse's arms. That is hyperbole. Mewling and puking. Do you think the child is always puking, always vomiting in the mother's arms? No, not always. But here the poet is exaggerating. That is called as hyperbole, means giving more than what is there, that is talking more than what is there, that is called as exaggerating. Here always the child is not puking in the nurse's arms, or always he is not making baby sounds. So it is called as mewling and puking in the nurse's arms is hyperbole. What other hyperbole we have? See, I have given here even in the cannon's mouth is one more hyperbole. We have here even in the cannon's mouth. What is cannon's mouth? Putting himself in the danger. Here, see, here facing great danger to life, that is called as a cannon's mouth. He is putting himself to danger, in front of danger. So that is called as a hyperbole. Here even in the cannon's mouth for vowel repetition, that is a hyperbole. That's it about hyperbole. We don't have any more hyperbole. Then we have simile. See here simile, creeping like a snail. How is he creeping? Like a snail. Like I told you, when we are using words like, as, such for comparing, here directly comparing. How the snail moves? Very slowly it moves. So same way the schoolboy also is moving very, very slowly. Then we have sighing like a furnace. After creeping like snail, we have sighing like a furnace, and then bearded like a pard. So these are three similes we have. How is he sighing? Like a furnace. How does he have beard? Like the pard, like the leopard. Here when we are using word like, as, such for direct comparison, then that is called as a simile. Then the next one we have is alliteration. This orange in color, that is alliteration. With a woeful ballad, sound is repeated with woeful. Okay, so that is alliteration. Quick in quarrel, sound is repeated, so that is one more alliteration. And then he, his part, he plays his part. Her in he, his in he, it's repeating, so that is called as alliteration. World too wide, sound is repeated, worldwide. And then shrunk, shunk, so that is called as alliteration. Now I'm okay. And then that is all alliterations we have. I hope so. Yes, that is all alliterations we have. Next thing we have, will come to transferred epithet at the end. I'll move on to the next one, imagery. Now throughout the poem we see many instances of imagery. I have highlighted here two, but then see here, in fair round belly with good capon lined, with eyes severe and beard of formal cut. When we think what is imagery, when you close your eyes and when you can see that picture, whatever is being explained, okay, if you can see in your eyes, if you can imagine that, then it is called as a visual imagery. Okay, visual imagery means you can imagine whatever is explained in the poem, that is called as a imagery. In fair round belly, now you can imagine a middle-aged person having a big belly and all, so that is imagery. With eyes severe and beard of formal cut. And then we have one more imagery here, with spectacles on the nose and pouch on side. How is he carrying a pouch and he is wearing a spectacles? Same way you can imagine the person, so you can say that is imagery. Then personification. What is personification? A human-like characteristics are given to a non-human thing, then it is called as a personification. Here the sixth age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon. Sixth age is shifts. Now age is not shifting into lean and slippered pantaloon, right? The person's age is shifting. So here we are giving the person's age. Age is for person. So living thing characteristics we are giving to non-living thing. Then it is called as personification. Then we have onomatopoeia. What is onomatopoeia? There are two onomatopoeias here. See, this is mewling. Mewling is one more onomatopoeia. What is onomatopoeia? When sounds are added. For example, if you say a dog is barking, okay, a lion is roaring, that is a sound made by the lion. Or you can even say baby is crying, the sound made by the baby, okay. Or a snake hisses, hiss sound it makes, so that is a onomatopoeia. Here baby crying is onomatopoeia, and when he is talking, pipes and whistles in his sound, that is when he has no teeth, the air escapes from the blanks in the teeth, that is called as a onomatopoeia. The sound it makes is called as a onomatopoeia. And then we have repetition. Here sans word is repeated again and again. Sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything. So sans is repeated again and again. So this is repetition. Now in order to explain what is a transferred epithet, I have put in a slide over here. Before explaining what is a transferred epithet, I have to explain to you what is a noun and what is an adjective. You have to know what is a noun. Noun is name, place, animal, thing, idea or quality. What is an adjective? Adjective is something that describes more about noun. That is called as an adjective. For example, we take a cat. A cat is a noun. If I say a brown cat, what is this word brown adding? Adding more information about the noun cat. Okay, that brown is an adjective and cat is a noun. The brown explains how the cat is. It adds more information about the cat. This much is clear. Now, what is a transferred epithet? Here, when we are explaining a brown cat, the cat is brown. But in the transferred epithet, the word, the noun does not represent that whatever we are describing. That noun is something else which is not there here. For example, an adjective describes a noun but that noun is not what the adjective is describing. It is something else. For example, if we take, I had a wonderful day. How was the day? Wonderful day. Is the day in itself wonderful? No, the day is not wonderful. For whom is the day wonderful? For a person. Who is the subject? I. But is the person specified in wonderful day? No. The day is given, wonderful is given. Wonderful explaining noun day. But is the day in itself wonderful? No. It is not wonderful. It is wonderful for some other person. Same way we have sleepless nights. Is the night sleepless? No. Night is just the night. Who is having sleepless nights? The person is having sleepless night. Is the person explained over here? No. So the night itself is not sleepless. The sleepless night is for somebody, the subject. Okay. Bubble repetition. Again, how is the repetition? It is bubble repetition. Is the repetition itself bubble? No. It is for a person who is seeking bubble repetition. Okay. Now let's move on to our lesson here. Lesson. See here, transferred epithet, we have bubble repetition. Youthful horse. How is the horse youthful? Is the horse youthful? No. What is a horse? That tights which the man is wearing is called as a horse. Is the horse youthful? No. The person who is wearing is youthful. Okay. Here the horse itself is not youthful. The person is described as youthful. Same way, lean and slippered pantaloon. Pantaloon is pants. Are the pants lean and slippered? No. The person is lean and slippered. The pants is not lean and slippered. But lean and slippered, what is it describing? Pantaloon. The pants. It is describing the noun pants. This is transferred epithet. I hope this much is clear to you. This is about rhyme scheme and figures of speeches. Let us move on to the critical appreciation of the poem. Now the critical appreciation of the poem we are going to discuss as given in the page number 5. We have to describe about the poem. So first is title. Title is All the World is a Stage. And the poet is William Shakespeare. You will write a few lines about William Shakespeare. It is already given here, and I also told you while explaining my poem that he has added many words to English literature. If he wasn't there, then many of the words would not have been there in our English language. So he was such a great personality who added a dictionary of words in English literature. And you can write about he is a bard of Avon, all this, whatever is given in your book about William Shakespeare, you can write. And then rhyme scheme we have already seen. There is no rhyme scheme in the poem. It is a free verse. Okay, what is your favorite line? What is your favorite line? You can write any number of lines. If you ask me, I will write All the World is a Stage is my favorite line, because he compares here life to a stage. Now there are many things where life can be compared with, like in the warm-up session they have asked compare the life to something and explain. Now here he explains it to a stage. It makes a lot of sense. Like we come into the world and we play many parts and then we die. So it is actually really a stage. So I like this line a lot. Like that you can write any of your favorite line. And then what is the theme and central idea of the poem? The central idea of the poem is, in the game of life we cannot win. Okay, that is the central idea of the poem. Here Jacques wants to tell us in his monologue that in this life, in the game of life, we are not going to win. We are going to die at one or other point in life. That is about the theme and central idea, and it is about 7 stages of life, and each and every stage has certain role. You have to play a certain role, and that you can exaggerate. You can write many points on that. And figures of speeches, we have discussed so many figures of speeches that you can write. And what are the special features? What is the type of the poem? We said it is a monologue. And what is the language used? How is the tone? tone is, you can say the tone is melancholy, sad, he is discussing about. And what is the implied meaning? That life is a game. Life is, in this game of life we can never win. That is what he was talking about. Why I like this poem? I like this poem a lot because of the depth of the language, and in few lines he explains each stage of the life, a whole life of 80 years or 70 years or 60 years. He explains in few lines the stages of life. I love this poem a lot because it's very concise, it's very precise, and he talks about all the stages of life, which is very, very true. It is actually true. A child is born, he is helpless and he is dependent on the mother for everything. Yes, and then the school, everything is described in a very beautiful way. So very shortcut, in a shortcut, life has been shrunk into few lines. So I like this poem a lot because of the depth of the language and because of the figures of speeches it has. So many, it is so deep, the meaning is so deep. Like that you can write about the figures of speech. Never ever copy critical appreciation and write, because it sounds so very fake. If you write on your own, then only you will get good marks. Okay, so understand the poem and then write in your own words about the poem. I hope this has been helpful to you. I'll be making one more video on the warm-up session, warming up workshop and the question answers. So don't miss it. Have a wonderful day. I'll meet you again soon. Thank you so much for listening to my explanation. Bye bye.